All right, time for part 6, and it's a classic story about a classic city that had a classic team before urbanization just screwed them up. We're talking about the Dodgers. Not the LA Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers. The bleacher bums. The bums. Wait till next year game. The apathy team. Empathy team. The Brooklyn Dodgers started out in the major leagues, the official major leagues in 1901, alongside 15 other franchises. They were called the original 16. Brooklyn was known for being a sad sack team that had a few major problems with fans and good teams. Brooklyn's first foray into the World Series was not against the Yankees, as many people think. It was in 1920 against the Cleveland Indians, as well as in 1916 against the Boston Red Sox and Babe Ruth versus Sherry Smith. That was a great pitching matchup. Brooklyn was known for being kind of a distant town, like a hometown that you could be proud of. Basically, everyone knew each other and all that. The warmness of Brooklyn. But unfortunately, Brooklyn could not get a World Series even when they tried. They had a few scrapes with the St. Louis Cardinals to reach the World Series in the 1940s, but not really that badly. Brooklyn would get their World Series title in 1955 against the Yankees, winning at Yankee Stadium of all things. So basically, they took it to the Yankees at their own ballpark, and finally, not only shut up the Yankee fans that said they'll never win a title, they shut up baseball fans in general. The Dodgers, unfortunately, 2 years later would make the great move to move to Los Angeles, mostly because they couldn't get land for a new park. As the famous top 5 reasons you can't blame series happened, it was about the Brooklyn Dodgers for leaving for Los Angeles. A lot of it was based on the fact that one city councilor actually lied her way through and saying that, she lied that there was someone from the Washington Senators who were going to try to get to Los Angeles and basically got Walter O'Malley's attention to move from the Dodgers from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. Needless to say that city controller Robert Moses was also to blame because he didn't want Brooklyn to have the stadium that they were hoping for. They wanted to move them out in the same location where Shea Stadium is, Flushing, Queens, and all that. Needless to say, Brooklyn had a dilapidated ballpark at its field. People were not coming out as much, and now because of the war and because of some subsidies and urbanization, the well-educated whites were now moving to the urban part outside the city, whereas now the inner city had to deal with people that people weren't associated with, Negroes and Spanish, Latinos, and of course they would cause a lot of trouble. Of course, this is the 1950s when race equality just sucked it up. But anyway, Brooklyn moved to Los Angeles, and within 2 years, their second season of being in Los Angeles, the Dodgers won the World Series, beating the Chicago White Sox in 6 games. The weird thing is that the LA Dodgers played at the LA Memorial Coliseum for 3 years before Dodger Stadium was built. And they had like 90,000 people that could be at a ballpark. And the weird thing is, the left field was like 250 feet, and right field was 460 plus feet. It's like, what the hell? Craziness. Oh, and by the way, the LA Memorial Coliseum is still in existence. It's been renovated several times and will definitely be renovated for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. The LA Memorial Coliseum hosts UCLA, had actually hosted UCLA games before the Rose Bowl took over that in 1980. USC games still actively, and the LA Rams. I think they still do with LA Rams games. But man, a stadium like Memorial Coliseum, still in existence. I think that stadium was built years after Fenway Park. Oh yeah. So anyway, the Dodgers had some rough patches and some teams that should have won the World Series. One that comes to mind is the 1974 team that was a Bill Buckner base running error away from shocking Oakland and denying the A's their three-peat. The Dodgers really haven't had much of what ifs to talk about, like before the finals. You know the cutter rule. The team involved cannot make it to the finals. Or had to have not been in the finals whatsoever when they lost. So the 2017 and 2018 Dodgers obviously can't be the what ifs because they're already in the finals. So let's prelude this thing. So it is the 1951 Dodgers I'm looking at. I'll talk about them later, but 11 years later, and this is close. 11 years later, in 1962, the Dodgers actually had to fight a best-of-3 playoff series against the San Francisco Giants. Dodgers again in the playoffs. And yes, the Dodgers did choke that 1962 chance to get to the World Series away, thanks to some bad pitching and some questionable field managing by Walter Alston the night before Tom Lasorda. That team did choke to the Giants. But the funny thing about that is that the Dodgers actually were the home team in that game 3, which meant that the Dodgers had a chance to tie the game, which they didn't. The 62 Giants, well, Dodgers fans must have been happy when the 62 Giants ended up winning the pennant and then losing the championship to the New York Yankees, thanks to Willie McCovey's line shot that Bobby Richardson speared. And immortalized in a Peanuts strip, Charlie Brown says, "Oh, why didn't Willie McCovey hit that ball a few inches higher?" Because that would have scored the 2 runs that would have won them the game in Game 7 off Ralph Terry and put Ralph Terry again with a Game 7 loss in the World Series. Bill Mazeroski, anyone? But the sad tale is 1951, the most memorable one ever. Dodgers and Giants were tied at the end. The Giants actually used a great second half run, cheating notwithstanding at the Polo Grounds, to get to the final, to get to the one-game playoff against the New York Giants. Sorry, it wasn't one game, it was 3 games. Strange how the National League had a best of 3 and the American League, their playoffs were 1 game. But anyway, in a best of 3 series, anything happened. The Dodgers ended up winning the coin flip and actually wanted to host Game 1 at home. The only problem was that Games 2 and 3 would be at the Polo Grounds. If the Dodgers had deferred, they would have got Games 2 and 3 at home at Ebbets Field, and the Polo Grounds would have only had Game 1. I love the Polo Grounds. I play them in video games all the time. It's classic. But anyway, the Dodgers and Giants were fighting it out. The Dodgers in 1951, a lot of people blame Ralph Branca. But you could also blame the manager for not really believing in Preacher Rowe. Preacher Rowe was a pretty good rookie pitcher who was good. No, sorry, Clem Labine, if you will. He was a rookie. He actually was doing well. Unfortunately, when he made a false move from the stretch instead of with a move and gave up a grand slam, the Dodgers manager decided to bench him for a while. Labine could have been the starting pitcher that the Dodgers needed to beat the Giants as chances. Now, Game 1, of course, went to the Giants. But thankfully, conventional wisdom got Clem Labine to Game 2, and he pitched a complete game shutout. Excellent. Game 3 saw heroics. Don Newcomb throwing a lot of pitches, and then the Dodgers not really relying on their bullpen. But Ralph Branca, number 13, came out on the mound. Runners on first and second. 1 out. And here comes Bobby Thompson, a light-hitting outfielder, if you will. That's what they said. But this is the Polo Grounds. And, of course, Bobby Thompson's home run was a line drive into left field, which was only like 263 feet away. That's the problem with that ballpark. If it was in, like, Ebbets Field, it might have been caught or just a lone single. Otherwise, it's the Polo Grounds. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. Ross Hodges' immortal call. Now, the funny thing about that is that it was in the era where a lot of radio calls were not taped for prosperity because not much technology was there. But a Brooklyn fan who was hoping that Ross Hodges would cry in the after his beloved Giants lost to the Dodgers in the 1951 playoffs, actually recorded it and basically gave it to Ross Hodges, says that you must have this. And that's why his call, the Hodges call, is one of the oldest calls still out there of legendary calls. So yes, the Giants ended up beating the Dodgers in the playoffs. Rob Branca did not take it well. And, the city didn't take it well, and it took 4 years to recover for the Dodgers. Now, here's the funny thing. The Dodgers actually were 7 games above 500 in the last 51 games. But the Giants just had that little bit more spark. It's kind of like the Cubs and the Mets in '69. The Cubs actually weren't that bad in September, but the Mets were just off the charts. So we are going to obviously say that the Giants did not win the pennant. The Giants did not win the pennant. The Giants did not win the pennant. And it's the Brooklyn Dodgers against their rivals, the New York Yankees. They've had a few World Series appearances before 1951, and they were classics. So the rule of thumb is easy to relate. The New York Yankees obviously won the 1951 American League pennant, and they were the hosts of Game 1 of the World Series. So, thus, obviously, the Dodgers will be traveling to the Yankees for Game 1. Now, the Yankees starting pitching for each of the World Series games in real life 1951 will be emulated in the WhatIf to be starters and all that. Dodgers, I will just figure out what to do. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. Ready to rumble! It's the 51 Dodgers and the 51 Yankees. The Yankees used Ellie Reynolds in real life in Game 1 World Series. The lineups. Now, the lineups I will not mess with and all that. Obviously there was no DH, but they're legends. Richard Rowe gets to start for the Brooklyn Dodgers in Game 1. After a few hiccups, the Brooklyn Dodgers took the 51 Yankees on in one of the most amazing games of all time. Yogi Berra with a 3-run home run off Pritchard Row to make it 3-0. And then the Yankees attack on more runs. Jerry Coleman, remember the San Diego announcer, with an RBI single to make it 4-0. Hank Bauer made it 5-0. And then Yogi Berra again with a home run. Yikes. 2 runs, 6 RBIs in 2 innings. Well, that's that match for you. At 8-0, the Dodgers finally scratch a hit in the 6th inning. And then in the 7th, Andy Pafko hits a home run to left center, which obviously is very deep, 400 plus feet. 8-1. And then the wheels were off. Top of the 9th, Dodgers only had 3 hits. It was 8-1. Andy Pafko, 2-run home run after Jackie Robinson gets on. It's 8-3. Okay, that's fine. Bases are loaded for Pee Wee Reese, who singles 8-4. Okay. Then you get a new pitcher. Roy Campanella grounds to short. They can't get the double play. Farillo scores. Gil Hodges hits a line drive single. Wayne Terwilliger scores to make it 8-6. And then Jackie Robinson hits a 2-1 pitch down the left field line. The score, that double made it 8-8. They walked Pafko before Duke Snyder grounded out. And then, after the Brooklyn used a new pitcher, Gil McDougall hit one down the left field line to win again. The Yankees win Game 1. The Yankees win Game 1. Amazing. Wayne Terwilliger. I thought he was a pitcher. But anyway, Reese with an RBI, Campanella with an RBI, Hodges with an RBI, Jackie Robinson with 2, Andy Pafko with 3. The Dodgers were just that close. Pritchard Row got KO'd after 2 innings. Don Newcomb did well, coming in relief for 4 innings. Then Johnny Schmitz came in. They gave it to Bud Bloyan. Was he Bud Bloyan would actually be a very decent pitcher. I'll give you the skinny. He would be okay, but he wasn't really that great of a player. The Yankees, well, they did well. Bauer, McDougall, Yogi Berra with 6 RBIs, and that was just the first 2 freaking innings of the game. Ellie Reynolds went 8 in the 3rd. Kusava came in for the save, blew it, and then they used Joe Ostrowski. And there we go. So, basically, Game 2, Don Newcomb, they had to use Don Newcomb. So anyway, the Yankees went with Vic Raschi for game number 2. Might as well. Just take some guesses in the 50s. They went with Raschi, and the Brooklyn Dodgers went with another 9-8 win. So 9-8 was huge back in the day. So Brooklyn ends up doing the same thing. Nothing happens to the 3rd inning when Hank Bauer grounded out, but he avoided a double play. Joe Collins hit a fly ball single to score Gene Woodling to make it 2-0. And then the Dodgers in the sixth, Roy Campanella hits a home run to left center, and Billy Cox made a grand spell single, 2-2 tie. But then the top of the seventh, Gil Hodges comes in, drives one down the left field line, and it's 5-2. The Brooklyn Dodgers. Wow, 5-2. Yankees come back in the bottom of the seventh. Jackie Jensen with a fly ball double to score Joe Collins. And then Rizzuto grounded out to score Coleman, 5-4. However, Carlo Furillo hit a Texas leader for a double to make it 6-4, and Pee Wee Reese flew out for a sac fly, 7-4. Top of the ninth, Jackie Robinson hit a double to right to score Gil Hodges, while Pafko hit one to score Robinson, 9-4, game over. Right, wrong. Joe Collins makes it 9-5 with a solo home run. Runners on first and second. Phil Rizzuto grounded to a single and scored to make it 9-6. And after a few plays, Gil McDougall got one off the knee to score Joe DiMaggio. Yogi Berra hit a single to make it 9-8. Brooklyn went with another pitcher, and Gene Woodling grounded into a double play to end the game. Wow. Brooklyn, Reese, Campanella, Hodges, Robinson, Pafko, Cox, Furillo with RBIs. Joe Haddon goes 6 innings. Pudlulian, Clyde King, Phil Hogstad, Irv Palika will come in for the save. The 51 Yankees. Rizzuto, Perez, Bauer, McDougall, Berra, Collins, Jensen. Vic Raschi is credited with the loss, even though it should have maybe Jack Kramer. Kusaba, Ostrowski, Kramer, and Stubby Overmeyer. Remember him? I don't think you do. So it's 1-1. Both teams are going to head home. And it will be Ed Lopat against Don Newcomb. Both teams decide to go with a 3-man rotation for the World Series. Smart move. And in game 3, the Yankees went into Ebbets Field and did what they did best, clobber the Dodgers. Jackie Robinson does get a sac fly in the first inning, but Jerry Coleman, flew out to right field to score Jerry Woodley. So another sac fly, 1-1. Battle of the sac flies. Top of the fourth, Jerry Coleman hits a double to score Mantle, whereas Phil Rizzuto hit a line drive single to score Jerry Coleman. Now, we don't pick up on Mickey Mantle's injury. I completely forgot about Mantle's injury, but let's just leave it at that. Jerry Coleman takes a bases loaded walk in the 5th inning, and Don Newcomb has a bad wild pitch, so it's 5-1 Yankees. Until the 7th, when Yogi Berra hits another home run, his third of the series, Ed Lopat, the pitcher, helping himself out by getting a fly ball single, 8. Make it 7-1. Yankees score 2 in the top of the 9th. Jerry Coleman gets a ground ball RBI, and Pee Wee Reese makes a terrible grounder. And Lopat got on base, 9-1. Cal Abrams does do something, but nothing really. Yankees don't use any pinch hitters. Jerry Coleman with 4 RBIs. Hang a star on that one. Ed Lopat goes the whole way, 117 pitches for the win. Brooklyn, Robinson, and Abrams with RBIs. Don Newcomb only goes 6 2/3. Clan Labin, 2 innings. I guess he banished the bullpen, and Johnny Schmitz. So it's 2-1, the series. So obviously you got to go back to your front 5. So they go with Preacher against Alley. Preacher Alley, round 2. And round 2 sees the Brooklyn Dodgers come roaring back to win 9-5. Pee Wee Reese hit a home run to make it 1-0. Pafko grounded out to make it 2-0. But Duke Snider hit a looping single that scored Gil Hodges and Jackie Robinson, 4-0. Roy Campanella in the 2nd inning gets an RBI double to score Pee Wee. The Yankees get on the road in the 4th. Gene Woodling hits a 2-run homer to center field, make it 5-2. Mantle hit a home run down the left field line to make it 5-3. But Andy Pafko canceled that out with a home run in the bottom of the 6th. And then in the bottom of the 7th, Pafko got a 2 RBI single, while Duke Snider gets an RBI single. Gene Woodling does it again. He hits a home run, making 9-4. Hank Bauer gets an RBI double, and it's 9-5. Gene Woodling, 2 home runs in this game. Nicely done. Allie Reynolds only lasts 6 2/3. Johnny Sain and Spec Shea do well as the bullpen, the 51 Dodgers. 2-2 series, and bad news for Yankee fans as Joe DiMaggio has to now come into the game, the series, because Mickey Mantle injured himself in Game 4 and didn't tell anybody. So it's Branca versus Rashi. Remember, it's 2-3-2 in the World Series. And Brooklyn used it to an advantage, winning 11-8. So now they're up 3-2. Jackie Robinson hits a home run to center field in the first inning. And then Andy Pafko hit an RBI double, scored Campanella and Robinson. At the fourth, the Yankees came falling back. Joe DiMaggio an RBI single. And then Woodling scored. Pafko threw home, but Woodling scored. DiMaggio went to second base on that one. Pee Wee Reese makes a terrible error and Collins scores. Phil Rizzuto with an RBI single scores DiMaggio. Gil McDougall with a bloop double to score Coleman and Bauer, 5-4. So the Yankees look good. At 5-4, they head to the bottom of the sixth. When Cal Abrams bounced a ground rule double to score Duke Snider, Pee Wee Reese gets a double to make it 6-5, and Roy Campanella hit a bloop hit, 7-5. Yankees get lucky that the Dodgers only scored 1 in the 7th. And then in the 8th inning, Hank Bauer crushes a home run to make it 8-7, and then Gil McDougall, 8-8. The Dodgers are doomed. And then the 9th inning, Gil Hodges hit a single. Jackie Robinson flew out. Andy Pafko walks. And then Duke Snider comes in and crushes a 3-run home run to center field. The Dodgers win. They're up 3-2. Are you serious? 51 Yankees are shocked. Rizzuto, Bauer, McDougall, DiMaggio gave everything in their power. You got Fick, Slick Fick, Ashley, Kuzlova, Ostrowski, Jack Kramer, Stubby Obermeyer. Obermeyer was the guy who gave up that pitch, but Kramer got the loss. Brooklyn, a lot of people there. Reese, Campanella, Robinson, Pafko, Cox, Snyder, Abrams. For RBIs, Ralph Branca came in, Pudoblin, then Clyde King, who technically was saved, Holstad, and Irv Palika. So we'll do the old switcheroo. Dunkaroo switcheroo for game number 6. And of course, it'll be Ed Lopat versus Don Newcomb. Let's see what happens. And what happens is the Dodgers win the pennant. No, the Dodgers don't win the pennant. The Dodgers win the World Series, 11-5. The Brooklyn Dodgers end up beating the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, kind of like Real Life 55, but this is not real. This is fantasy. Billy Cox hit an RBI single to make it 1-0. Then in the 4th, Don Newcomb got a single to score 2-0. Joe Collins with a 2 RBI double to score Berra and Woodley. Wonder what happened to Berra. And then Duke Snider, another home run to make it 3-2. Yogi Berra hits a home run to center field, and you're thinking, well, the Yankees aren't going anywhere fast. 4-3, and then the 7th, it caved in. Runners on first and third. Phil Rizzuto makes a bad play on Jackie Robinson's grounder to score Campanella. Duke Snider then hits a single to left field that scores Hodges and Robinson. Billy Cox comes in to play with a 3-run home run to left field. Pee Wee Reese got a fielder's choice to score Furillo, and Jackie Robinson had a bases loaded walk. The Dodgers used 8 runs on 6 hits in the 7th to take an 11-4 lead. Jerry Coleman did get an RBI, but Gil McDougall popped up the shortstop, and the Brooklyn Dodgers shocked everyone by winning the series in 6 games. Joe DiMaggio didn't matter. It was Mickey Mantle's injury that ruined things. And elsewhere on a Bible, stack of Bibles. Duke Snider and Billy Cox with home runs. Reese, Robinson, Snyder, Cox, Newcomb with RBIs. He's there. Glenn Levin came in for the 9th inning and closed it out for Don Newcomb, who never gave up. The New York Yankees, well, Barrett with 2 RBIs, Collins with 2, Coleman with 1. Lopat won 6 innings, and then Kusava was the kind of the culprit. Then Ostrowski and Fred Sanford. So unbelievable as it sounds, it's a what if that actually has the team thinking winning, and they did. Winning here, winning there. The 1951 Brooklyn Dodgers would have won the World Series somehow, sending Joe DiMaggio into retirement with a loss over his head, and Mickey Mantle's injury just costing them dearly. So that's all I've got for now. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.